everyone, it's Cass. Welcome back to my channel, What Cass Read. Today I'm bringing you my February book haul. Every single time I bring a haul, I'm like, oh, I went a little overboard because such and such. I went overboard because it was Black Friday, because it was Christmas, because it was my birthday. And now that all of that is done, I really have no excuse. Here we are. I have more books to show you. Okay, so they come from all of the usual suspects: Amazon, Half Price Books, Book Depository, Book Outlet. So it's a good mix of new, used. The first ones I want to mention, I already posted in my February TBR. So this is I Hear Your Voice, written by Young Ha Kim. This is the February pick for the Around the World in 1000 Pages book club. I didn't get to it in February because The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss just took up way too much time. I took 2 weeks to read that book. I was really hoping to read this book during the Winter Olympics because this takes place in South Korea. It just wasn't able to happen for me. So anyways, this book, it follows 2 young boys who grow up on the streets of Seoul, South Korea. They join a motorcycle gang. It just kind of follows the heartbreak and hardships that they have throughout their life. Written by a South Korean author, and I'm really excited to begin this. So this is I Hear Your Voice. This is the March pick for the Around the World in 1000 Pages book club. This is Purple Hibiscus, written by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I have to look at her name every single time I hear this. So this takes place on the African continent. It's a story of a young woman's account of her life. The quote on the back of the book says, "It's a sensitive and touching story of a child exposed too early to religious intolerance and the uglier side of the Nigerian state." So I look forward to this one as well, just giving me a little bit of a break from all of the fantasy books that I have been picking up. And it's, again, pretty short, so I hope it'll be a quick read. I picked up the first 3 books of the Temeraire series, written by Naomi Novik. The first book being His Majesty's Dragon, the second book being Throne of Jade, and the third book being Black Powder War. So the first book I know takes place, they're more like historical fiction plus fantasy, so it takes place during the Napoleonic Wars, but they're with dragons. You'll notice a pattern. I didn't mean for this to happen, but it turns out there are a lot of dragon books in this haul. I guess I was in the mood for dragons. Go figure, because I was reading Ship of Destiny, where there's a dragon character. I wanted also to pick up more works by Naomi Novik as I wait for Spinning Silver very patiently. So this is the first 3 books of the Temeraire series. More dragon books. This is The Red Knight, written by Miles Cameron. And this is The Fell Sword, also written by Miles Cameron. These 2 are the first 2 books in the Traitor's Son cycle. This follows the Red Knight, who is a mercenary, a part of this group of mercenaries, who is hired to protect a nunnery from the creatures of the wilds, and I'm assuming dragons are a part of that. So more dragon books. Didn't mean to, but I'm really excited to begin this series. I included this series in my series I want to read in 2018, so I picked up the first 2 books in the series here. I might as well keep the dragon theme going. This is A Natural History of Dragons, written by Marie Brennan. The second book is called The Tropic of Serpents. The third book is called Voyage of the Basilisk. And the fourth book is called In the Labyrinth of Drakes. The 5th and final book of the series was also published this past year, but it wasn't available through the used bookstores that I found these 4 in. I was really fortunate to be able to find all these in a nice new used condition, so I just went ahead and picked up all 4 of them. So The Natural History of Dragons, this is the Lady Trent series. This is a memoir written by Lady Trent. It follows a woman named Lady Trent who is seeking to become a dragon naturalist. This looks more at the study of a dragon as a species, whereas Temeraire looks at the link and the bond between humans and dragons are their own character in their own right. This one is more or less the study of dragons. This is Wrath. This is the 4th and final book in the Faithful and the Fallen series, written by John Gwynne. So if you remember from my birthday book haul, I found all 3 of the first books of the Faithful and the Fallen series. That's Malice, Valor, and Ruin. And then Wrath is the 4th and final book. Again, I found this in the used bookstore. So since I had the rest of the books, it was driving me nuts to not have the complete set. So now I have all 4 books of the Faithful and the Fallen series. This is The Black Prism, written by Brent Weeks. This is book number 1 in the Lightbringer series. This is book 2, called The Blinding Night. And The Broken Eye is book 3. I originally picked this up. I got burned from some of the fantasy picks that I read last month, and so I just decided I wanted to cast a really wide net and find a lot of different series that I haven't delved into yet. So the Lightbringer series was one of those like really complex magic systems that I heard about, where the magic system is based on colors. It's just something that I've heard really positive things about. I've heard that it's really action-packed, and so Hopefully they'll be pretty quick reads, but I just wanted to cast a wide net with a lot of the fantasy books that I was picking up, and again, I found these all at the used bookstore. Another used bookstore find. By now, Robin Hobb is basically an auto-buy author for me, so this is Forest Mage. This is actually book number 2 from the Soldier's Son trilogy. This is a set of books, a trilogy that takes place outside of the realm of the Elderlings. The first book being Shaman's Crossing. Since I saw the second book in the cover that I wanted, it's just basically an auto-buy, so I'm just gonna gradually collect the books in the Soldier's Son trilogy by Robin Hobb. This one was also another used bookstore find. This is Scarlet Tides, written by David Hare. This is actually book number 2 in the Moontide Quartet, the first book being Mage's Blood. So I saw this book in the used bookstore. They did have Mage's Blood, but it was in the hardcover, and I didn't want the set to mismatch, so I just picked up the second book, and then I'll just find the first book, probably on Book Depository. I've already looked on Amazon, and they don't sell it in the United States in paperback, which is kind of weird. The Moontide Quartet by David Hare is another series that I've heard really positive things about. Don't know a lot about it. I just know that Kitty G, Caitlin, really loves it, and basically her recommendations are pretty solid. So this is Scarlet Tides, written by David Hare. This is The Bear and the Nightingale, written by Catherine Arden. This was one of the books that I had put in some of those like Christmas book wish lists. What do you want to read? The Bear and the Nightingale was one of them. And I just haven't gotten around to it. And now that it's been nominated for both Best Fantasy and Best Debut for the BookTube SFF Awards, I knew I had to pick it up. This book takes a lot of influence from Russian fairy tale, Russian folklore. Our main character lives in the Russian wilderness, the Russian woods. I think the story follows along with what happens when Christianity comes into the town and sort of takes away all of the old customs, old traditions, old rituals, old magic, and what's kind of happening with the old magic system when Christianity comes into the world. Anyways, lots of people have read this, lots of people have spoken really highly of this, and I can't wait to begin this one. So this is The Bear and the Nightingale, written by Catherine Arden. And this one, I just posted this in my March TBR. This is Kings of the Wild, written by Nicholas Ames. This was nominated for the Best Debut Fantasy. I think it's Best Debut, not Best Fantasy. I plan on reading this in the month of March. This follows a group of mercenaries who, in their prime, in their heyday, they were the greatest rock star band of mercenaries of all time, and now they're old and washed up, and one of their daughters has gone missing, so they try and get the band back together to be able to save her. And can they save her now that they're old and kind of out of shape? I like all of that. I like the sound of all of that. So, February book haul, there we go. Like I said, you know, I don't really have an excuse this time around other than I'm a monster and I can't be stopped when I go into a used bookstore. Let me know some of the books that you've recently been buying in the comment section below. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you want to continue any of our conversations on social media. So I'm on What Cass Read. It's the same as this channel. It's all one word, so I'm super easy to find. And of course, you can also find me on Goodreads. That link will always be down below. And of course, you know how these videos end. I'll talk to you later. Bye.